Good evening, this is Susan for SLC Aquatics coming to you live on a Tuesday night, October the 10th in Central Alabama, USA. How's everybody doing tonight? Do you have audio? Do you have video? Kevin's Corydora egg started hatching today. All right. Mark is saying hi, Big Easy. Kevin Hyatt, the king of animal care. We've got AMA Aquatics. We've got Victor V-Stag. We've got, who else do we have? I believe that's it for right now. Crazy Diva CK. That's Val's. Hey, Val's. Fishman is in the house. All right. I'm just getting all of these regulars in here, and I'm so happy. Hope y'all are having a good day. Hadn't been too bad here. Still overcast skies and some scattered showers from Nate every once in a while. But everyone is doing well here. Video check, audio check. Thanks, Kevin. Press Mash is here. Hey, Press Mash. Good to see you. All the way from India. Corona Ken is in the house. Hello, Corona Ken. Hi there for only a few, but hello, everyone. Good to have you guys with us tonight. Just woke up now. In India, it's 4:32 a.m. Woohoo! I hope you got your coffee. I have my drink. Cichlid 5 is in the house. Good to have you. Everybody check out everybody's channel. I'm sure you all know each other by now. Crazy Diva CK is using his girlfriend's YouTube account. His name is Valz, V-A-L-Z. Island Queen, Darcy is in the house. Hey, honey. I hope y'all can see the chat better. Let me know if you can't. I enlarged it so that y'all could read what everybody was saying. I know we just got started, but I need to step out for just a few minutes, so enjoy my beautiful aquarium. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for waiting and hanging out. Let me catch up with some of the chat to see what's going on. Aqua Apprentice came in. Hello, Aqua. Everybody say hi to each other. Keith says the tank looks awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks to Corona Ken with all of the fill-in plants that he sent me. Thank you, Ken. Aqua says, which is less aggressive again, female or male gourami? That's a good question because the girls usually end up fighting the most in my tank. Fishman, female. Corona Ken says bye. Bye, Ken. Thanks for stopping by. Love you and appreciate you. Prathmesh says, are these all plastic plants? Those in the foreground are plastic, and those in the background are those valves. I cannot pronounce the correct scientific name. The valves I bought from Michael at Green Oasis Farms, and they are beautiful plants. And I only had minimal melt back. And I mean, some of the longest strands are 4 feet long. That is a 55-gallon tank. And the gouramis, I believe I have 2 female gouramis and 1 male gourami and 1 male paradise fish. And I think the pleco is a female. The only way you can aqua, the best scenario is just a lot of cover is what I was told. A lot of plants so that out of sight, out of mind keeps down the sparring, and they will pretty much be territorial. One will stay on one end and the other one will stay on the other end, and they do merge from time to time. The opaline that I have tries to travel the whole tank, and sometimes the gold one, she'll stay in the left-hand side, but they end up sharing the whole tank sometimes, but they like their territorial corners. Cicla 5 says, I made my own fish food. Good. What kind of food did you make? Aqua says. Isn't the paradise fish a type of gourami? I do believe they are all labyrinth organ fish. I don't think the paradise fish gets as large as the gouramis, though. Fishman says, nice group of fish. Thank you, Fishman. Jay, 1985 is in the house. Hello, Jay. Good to have you with us tonight. Fish Tropic, Jason. Hi, Jason. How you doing? Aqua says, full of questions today. That's all right. If I can't answer it, someone in the chat will. Fishman says, paradise fish aren't gouramis, but they are labyrinth fish. Thank you, Fishman. As you see the topic tonight, it is the planted tank. And if anyone watched Corey and Joel Corvus Oceans this morning's collab, well, it was 12 o'clock noon here. Theirs was on the dirted tank, and I didn't know they were going to do that. And I told Corey in a private message, I said, I did not intentionally do this, but it seems like great minds think alike. Even though dirted tank, planted tank, it's not necessarily the same thing, but it is related. And I'm not a scientist. I don't have all of the chemicals and scientific processes to discuss tonight. A few of you might. I do believe Michael over at Aqua Pros has a couple great videos on the photosynthesis of the plants, aquatic plants within the aquarium, and the gas exchanges that go on in a planted aquarium. So we're going to talk about that, ask questions, give me your input, and give me some of your experiences with plants in your aquarium. I'm still a newbie with plants in my aquarium, even though I've had guppy grass and hornswort for over a year. And just last July, so for a year, I've had duckweed from tank to tank every once in a while, even though I have a couple tanks that doesn't have very much duckweed in it at all. Fishman says that the paradise fish aren't gouramis, but they are labyrinth fish. And Fish Tropic says, have you ever paired different meds together? And if so, how did it affect your fish and plants? Jason, that's a good question. As far as the formula that Corey uses at Aquarium Co-op, he uses erythromycin, he uses General Cure, and ICX for quarantine new fish. So that is a combination of those three medications together, which is a bacteria, an anti-fungus, an anti-parasitic, and then of course IC is an external parasite. So it also takes care of other issues like General Cure will take care of fin rot, which I believe is a bacterial fungus infection. And so yes, how did it affect my fish? Didn't affect my fish at all. My plants, I'm trying to remember if I had any die-off from any of the plants. I think I had a little melting away of the guppy grass and the hornswort, but as far as my Nubius and my Java fern and my swords, my small swords, they all fared well. So the only problem I had was I needed to put some carbon in my filtration after the meds to help clean out the rest of the medication, do water changes, and then after 30 days, 20 or 30 days, I removed the carbon and just left the regular filter in there. So that's my experience there, Jason. Hello, Corey. Just stopping in quickly between calls. Hi, Corey. We hadn't really got started on the planted subject yet. Jason asked the question about mixing meds and the effects on my plants and fish, and I told him that my Anubias fared well and my Java fern. I did have a little melt back with my guppy grass and my hornswort, which only lets me know that the nitrate balance decreased with the water changes from the meds, so basically they recovered. Chris Fishroom's in the house. Kevin Hyatt says, I use my dad's composter in all of my planted tanks. I see tons of growth, but I'm really bad at trimming and end up killing a lot of plants. Compost dirt, I believe, has natural nutrients in it with no chemicals. Everybody say hi to Corey. Hey, Corey. Fish Tropic says, but before you use API products, what were you using? Aquarium salt. Of course, aquarium salt causes your plants to melt. Fishman just subbed you, King of Animal Care. Great. Like your logo, Chris, etc. Chris says, what site do you know that sells cheap shrimp and don't have a lot of money to be buying high-priced shrimp? I don't know any cheap shrimp websites. Usually, Chris, if you go cheap, you're going to get poor quality shrimp sometimes. Fish Tropic says, when you had camel anus worms using levomycin, did you also treat for external parasites? External parasites. No, Jason, I did not. I did water changes, and I added the Epsom salts to my aquarium to help them pass the worms, and that's all the other treatments that I did. So let's get on topic here with the planted tank. We want to know the pros and cons of plants in the aquarium. I'm a fairly a newbie with plants in my aquarium, and like I said, for over a year I've had the guppy grass and the hornswort, which helped with nitrate levels. because at first I wasn't doing regular weekly water changes. I was getting water changes done every 2 or 3 weeks, and of course the guppy grass grew. And since then I've acquired Anubias and Java ferns and swords and crypts, and recently I've purchased valves for my 55-gallon. And I've only had a little bit of melt back with them, and they are really taking off and growing. I think I have one that's grown a foot already in the 3 weeks that I've had those plants. I mentioned earlier when I logged on that Corey and Joel Corvus Oceans had a beautiful collab this morning, and theirs was on the dirted tank, and I had no idea there was so much work involved in a dirted tank. I myself have only used gravel or sand, or the one behind me here that is having a bacterial bloom right now. That one has no substrate in it, but it has a couple planted pots with Fluval substrate in it, and I keep the water changed. Every time I do a water change, it gets a little clearer. That tank, for some reason, loves to turn green water on me. And if anybody can give me any suggestions, maybe I need to go with a substrate that will help, and some more plants that will help absorb the nutrients out of the water column. Chris Fishroom is asking the difference between Flourish and Flourish Excel. I'm not familiar with Flourish and Flourish Excel. I've never used those products, Chris. Fish Tropic says Excel is a CO2 booster. So what is Flourish Excel? Just a liquid fertilizer? Aqua Apprentice says pros to dirt is the natural minerals provided. Yes, you don't really, with a dirted tank, I was wondering, do you actually get that many nutrients from the detritus down into the dirt since it's kind of compacted? Do you need to add a loosening agent like sand or gravel to the dirt in order to open up the dirt to allow those nutrients to get down to the roots of the plant? That was one of my questions. The cons is the mess it can make. Yeah, according to Corey and Joel, they explained sometimes you just have a lot of mud, and Joel brought up using a clay substrate, and Corey said, of course, that may add iron to the water column, which is great for plants that need the iron for the color, the red and the purple colors and the pink colors. I do have Eco Complete in my 25-gallon, and I have 3 substrates. I believe I have an inch of Eco Complete, I have an inch of play sand, and I have an inch of regular aquarium gravel. And my plants do very well in that aquarium. It's just hard to clean it. You can't do a whole lot of vacuuming because the play sand goes everywhere. I won't use play sand again. DPK's in the house. Hey, Carlos. Hi, Susan, and everyone here in the chat. Hope you're having a blessed day. Okay, also, I have a book here that I was reading through that is authored by Herbert Axelrod, Starting Your Tropical Aquarium. And I was reading the article in the back that talked about the balanced aquarium and the importance of having plants in the water with your fish causes a balance according to James ATZ. I'm not familiar with James ATZ, but this article went back as far as 16, oh boy, I want to say some of the documents in it was written from 1775, 1850, and by 1858 at least 9 books on keeping the aquarium had been published in England, and an encyclopedia of 1854 included an article on the subject as well. And, you know, there was an argument of whether calling it an aquarium or a vivarium. Aqua Apprentice says, hey Rogue, good to have you with us. Aqua Apprentice said the roots will extend down to the dirt, but the water column feeders won't benefit as much from it. And that's true. I wanted to talk about the exchange of the gases that go on in the aquarium, and most of us that have kept fish for a while do know the oxygen and the carbon dioxide exchange that happens through both the fish and, let's see, the fish consumes oxygen and releases the CO2, that the plant consumes the CO2 and releases oxygen. And all of this is during the daytime. But at night, the fish also, the plants can't do photosynthesis at night with no lights. You must have light or sunlight in order for the plants to complete the cycle of photosynthesis. We all know that plants in the aquarium that are column feeders, water column feeders, they absorb the ammonia and the nitrates for nourishment, and those that are root plants consume the nutrients from the detritus and the other food waste that is not eaten. And that's how the plants, you have root feeders and you have water column feeders. So the pros is that you're going to have pretty much a natural filtration within the water column. I think Corey mentioned earlier that he had no filtration on his first dirted aquarium, and he didn't even have a light. I think he used natural sunlight. Fish Tropic asked the question, why do you think it would be a bad idea to run oxygen in a planted tank during the day? The reason it would be a bad idea is because you can make the fish, it's too toxic for the fish to have too much oxygen. You can have more carbon dioxide within the aquarium than you can oxygen. Oxygen can become toxic to the fish. Rogue Aquatics says hi, and is telling Ama Aquatics that his intro is so nice, and asked if he makes them. Hey, thanks, Tanks. Good to have you. Welcome to the chat. The live stream tonight. All right, so pros would be natural filtration for the fish and the aquarium column, the water column itself. What would be some of the cons of a planted tank? I think some of the cons that happens in my aquariums is when you do have plant melt back, you have decaying leaves from the plant, and the decay causes ammonia, just like anything dying, a fish dying, a plant dying causes an increase of ammonia. So it is important to get those decaying leaves out and to do water changes on a regular basis. Hey Jenna, good to have you with us tonight. And it is a good idea, like I said, to get those decaying leaves out of the aquarium because you're going to have an increase in ammonia and nitrates. Anybody else have any cons? Fish Tropics said, tell the people why it would be a good idea to turn the O2 during the night. The reason that you would turn O2 on during the night is because the plant is down producing carbon dioxide instead of oxygen. And so you want to keep the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide within the water in a balance so that you don't over-toxify the fish. Thank you, Jason. I do not increase oxygen in my tanks at night, and I do not use CO2 on my plants. All of my plants are plants that do not require extra CO2. If I did, I would add a liquid CO2. I don't have anything that requires me to hook up a CO2 device, and tuning it in is difficult, and it can be difficult. Yes, oxygen means the air that would be fine. At night with no lights and plants. But I wouldn't increase it at all. Some people increase their air pumps because we have the valve regulators on our airlines. You can increase it at night, but I don't make any changes at all. Jason was just asking me to tell you why it would be okay to add oxygen at night, because the plants actually put off CO2 at night, and you can have more CO2 in an aquarium than you can have an over amount of oxygen. Angelo's in the house. So full of knowledge, Susan. No, I'm not. Jason says I'm great. You know, he's got me on the spot. That's why I'm turning red. I remember a little bit of 8th and 9th grade biology. It was one of my favorite subjects in school. Another one of the pros that we discussed earlier about the pros of having planted aquariums is that aquatic plants are unique in that they remove waste excreted by the fish. And that's why if you set up just a planted aquarium, it is still, you've got to nourish the plants. And if you don't have any fish in there, you're going to have to add fertilizers, add fish food, something to add nutrients so that the plants can be fed. So when you set up a planted aquarium, it's a good idea to add 2 or 3 fish in there, depending on the size of your tank. Aquatic plants absorb nutrients through their leaves and through the substrate. And they do play an incredible, important role in the carbon cycle. And I even read today that if your plants need more nutrients and you don't want to add liquid fertilizers or fertilizers into the substrate like root tabs, I heard and I read today about adding carbon in your filters, and that adds nutrients that the plants need. I remember when I first got started, my son went to the pet store with me, and I ran into this guy on the outside when I was getting ready to load the aquarium into my car. He goes, "Are you going to use live plants?" I said, "Oh no, I'm going all plastic. I don't want any trouble with plants." And I look back on that 2.5, 3 years ago, and I'm like, wow, now I wouldn't go back. I'm using plastic plants in my 55-gallon right now just because I don't have the money for large flourishing plants. They can be expensive. One day I'd like to be able to afford a plant kit from Corey or from Michael at Green Oasis or H2O Plants or something. And, just because the plants that Jenna took out of that 55, I was real jealous about that because she had some luscious crypts and anubias and I don't know all the plants that she had, some swords and things in there. But let me go back to the chat. AMA says he'd be right back. Let's see. Jason said also your plants grow more at night. Okay, I didn't know that, but thank you. The bubbles help turn over the surface and aid in gas exchange. Yes, Fishman. Val says, if you leave the light on 24/7, do plants produce CO2? I don't think they produce CO2, Vals, but it's like every living thing needs a rest period, and eventually the plant will suffer from the lights being on 24/7 because it can't go through the complete photosynthesis cycle that it needs to go through. And like Jason said, they need to have a rest period from the light of producing oxygen in order to grow and to take in nutrients to reproduce them. Fishman says plants produce CO2 all the time. They just produce more O2 during the day. Okay, that's an interesting fact. I thought carbon strips nutrients, Aqua said. Fish Tropics says, can we take a tour of your planted tanks? Jason, I don't have all of my fish tanks up here. I have 2 fish rooms. Fishman says carbon removes organic molecules. Okay. Jason says H2O, which is water. Haven't seen him in a while. Oh, H2O Aquatics. Fish Tropics says 24/7 they will produce algae. Okay. So there is a chemical change even if the lights are left on 24/7. Chris Fishroom says, my guppy grass is the only aquatic plant that keeps melting. I added flourish temporarily. pH light is medium. I don't know why it keeps melting. Do you have salt in your aquarium, Chris? Because guppy grass, most plants, aquatic plants, will melt back. Also, how long has your tank been set up? Your tank needs to be established in order for the nitrate and ammonia levels to be down. And guppy grass thrives on nitrates mostly and ammonia. Fish Tropic says flourish is melting it. Cut the dose to quarter dosing. Oh, okay, that's what he said he was using. He added flourish. Okay. So it's too many nutrients. And guppy grass is very sensitive. Wow. I do have a lot of melt back if things get out of whack. Angelo says, so much great info here. The King of Animal Care says, great live stream, Susan. Like always, have to say goodbye, everyone. Have a great night. See ya, King of Animal Care. Thanks for coming by. Jenna says, I want to hear this info. It's family dinner night, so we'll have to watch it later. That's okay, Jenna. Enjoy your dinner night with your family. I don't want to ever butt in and take away that precious time from our families. But so Jason was saying if we leave the light on 24/7, the plants will produce algae. I leave my lights on 10 and 14 hours a day. My favorite planted aquarium is over here. So everybody hold on to your seats. I can only go so far. This here is the aquarium that my son-in-law gave me. It's a 5-gallon flue ball, and I'm not sure what those plants are right here in the corner. Somebody can identify them for me? I don't know if they're a sword or a vowel. This I know is an Anubias, and I've already divided this plant twice. In the back corner here are some crypts, which I have divided. And this is in a very small gravel substrate. And this is a nice piece of Malaysian driftwood, I believe, here. And he has a little bit of spider wood in the back. And I've divided these plants twice. This tank here is full of guppy grass and hornswort. And this is my blue-green Moscow guppies. This tank has been up and running probably since the end of July. I always break it down and get it ready for a new shipment. And I keep taking guppy grass out of here. So this tank is easy to get to high ammonia levels and high nitrate levels. So I have to do daily water changes for a while. Is Bob in the house? Hey, Bob. Well, thank you, Bob. Any special reason why you're doing that? Thank you. I love you. Jason asks, what do you think are the most sensitive plants and hardy plants to start with? The most sensitive plants, like you said, is the guppy grass. Once it gets established, though, as you see, I don't have any problem with guppy grass. Beginner plants, Anubias, and I believe Java ferns. Hornswort. My very first plant was hornswort. Hornswort took off, but when my aquarium got out of whack, they go through a shedding process, but they will come back. But you got to clean up all of the leaves from the hornswort. I have some penny or moneywort in here as well, but it doesn't thrive well in my aquariums. It's in that little cup right there. And I do have a piece of the crypt in here. Also, I'm going to try to come around the room here. And this is my 10-gallon that has the algae bloom in it right now. And it has a sword, a red melon sword in the cup. And in this other cup in the middle here, I have some more of those swords and crypts and a couple pieces of Java fern. This tank over here I had added salt to it, and it melted all of my guppy grass. So I went over to the 5-gallon and got some guppy grass the other day with a water change, and added a couple pieces of guppy grass. Okay, hang on. I know you're going to get dizzy. This here also is some Java moss on this challah wood. I got a piece of guppy grass in here. And that is a pretty little crypt in the back that is growing out from that 5-gallon that I separated and divided out. So that's my fish room up here. So hold on and I'll remount this camera. And of course downstairs I have in my 20-gallon, I have lots of Java fern, Anubias, some more of that green whatever that is, sword or crypt. I need to scroll up and see what y'all been saying. Steenfot says, I'm sending you a $25 gift card, Susan. Well, thank you, Bob. You are very nice. Unless somebody's created your name and hacked. Thank you, Bob. You get hacked so many times. Is this the real Bob Steenfot? Thank you, Fishman. Great looking tanks. What type of lights are you running for my plants? LEDs that comes with the aquariums. Nothing special. The little 3-gallon tub, I don't know if y'all remember that I had. I had a 3-gallon plastic tub that I got from Walmart that I used to raise my guppy fry in. It was always full of algae, and the only light that I used on it was a table lamp with I think a 45-watt bulb in it. And I loved the algae because my ram's horn snails grew tremendously. My guppy fry grew tremendously eating all that algae. DPK says, okay, I'm back. Booted out on my phone. Weird. My. Angelo says, very nice. Steamfight Bob says, Kayla won the 25 Aquarium Co-op gift card and wanted to donate it to you. Well, Kayla, thank you so much, honey. Why in the wonderful. Thank you. Y'all gonna make me cry again? Oh. Yes, Kayla, thank you so much. And thank you, Bob. I have the same issue with that type of plant, Susan. Maybe it thrives better in soft water. Was it the guppy grass you were talking about, DBK? Yes, I'll thank Kayla, Bob. Thank you. Val says, turn on Super Chat. I have to get 1,000 subscribers first. Y'all gonna bump me to 1,000 subscribers tonight? I'm at 572. Why is algae a good thing? You are so full of questions, Jason. Okay. Isn't it one of the simplest forms of plant life? Algae. Therefore, for fry to eat algae, it is easy for them to digest. And algae also, like moss, does also cause breeding grounds for small microplankton and microscopic life that is great for fry to eat. How about that, Jason? Pennywort. Oh, thank you, Carlos. I will be back, you guys. Love you. Okay, I'm back. Thank you all for waiting. Steam Fox says, I don't think algae is a plant. Okay, Bob, correct me. I don't care. I'm learning too. I thought algae was like a one-cell protozoan or whatever. You're going to make me look that up, aren't you, Bob? Okay. Is algae a plant? That's a good one. More recently, most algae have been classified in the kingdom Protista, or in another major group called Eukarya, or eukaryotes, which includes animal and higher plants. The algae have chlorophyll and can manufacture their own food through the process of photosynthesis. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Google. Why algae is not considered a plant. Algae is able to photosynthesize, a key characteristic of plants, we all know that, but lack true roots, stems, or leaves, so are not considered plants. The two main groups of algae are prokaryotes, no nucleus. I know I'm not saying that right. Prokaryotes, no nucleus, including the blue-green algae, and eukaryotes contain a nucleus. Okay, anything else? Algae is a great key to know your tank is ready for fish. Well, I know the brown algae when I first got started was a terrible sight, but I was told that the brown algae will go away as the tank continues to cycle. Life will not grow in a toxic condition. Thank you, Jason. DPK says, I concur with Fish Tropic. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Jason. Angelo Fish Tank says, welcome, Corey. Corey back in the house? Or is KP? Oh, DPK is Corey. No, Carlos. Yeah, you made it, Corey. Welcome to the stream. Now, is the Amphibian and Fish channel, Corey? Hello, the Amphibious and Fish channel. New York Gold is in the house. Hello. Okay, so thanks for that information, guys. You all are really bringing out the information tonight, and I appreciate it. Jason says he's got to go. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. Oh, that's right. Happy Thanksgiving to you all in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving. Little Largemouth is in the house. Well, hello, Little Largemouth. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome. My quizzer went away, so I don't know. Y'all going to have to ask some more questions to see if I can answer it correctly or not. Bob, come on. You can quiz me. Cape Cod Tropical Fish Keeper, hello. Angelo says, yes, Susan. And DPK took his message away. Okay, Jenna says, my tank that has the most algae has the best water perimeters. Yeah, Bob likes algae. Jenna likes algae. I like algae. Amphibian Fish Channel says, I'm another Corey. Well, nice to meet you, honey. I always called you the Amphibian and Fish Channel. The A and F C. TPK says, happy Thanksgiving to my Canadian friends. Fish Tropic says, what about hair algae or blackbeard algae? Everybody knows blackbeard algae is not good. Why? It robs nutrients from the water column, and can it produce toxins? I don't know. Hair algae? I have hair algae. It's pretty. But I do pull it off from time to time. Okay? Thank you, Jason. I will look it up. Let's talk about hair algae and blackbeard algae. I always thank God for the internet. We're going to talk about causes and cures of the blackbeard algae. Okay? It belongs to the red algae family. It grows on the edges of plants, plant leaves, as well as on the edges of any hard surface. It's composed of a very fine strand or tufts. It grows in dense patches resembling a dirty green beard, thus earning its name. It can also be bright green, blue-green to blackish green. It's soft, slippery, and grows rapidly, and it clings tenaciously to plants and cannot be easily removed by hand. It's eaten only by a few fish, notably the Florida flagfish and the Siamese algae eater. Ooh, Jenna, I have 4 algae eaters if you want to get rid of some of that blackbeard algae. Perhaps the number one cause is unstable or low levels of carbon dioxide. Y'all agree with that? Perhaps the number one cause is unstable or low levels of carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide is unstable, plants can't use the fertilizers and the light available to undergo photosynthesis. And that kind of environment is a hospital one for beard algae. Oh, hospitable conditions. In that case, supplementing CO2 supplementation is likely required. That's a good fact. What do y'all say about that? Should I increase flow to limit algae growth? Little largemouth, it depends on what kind of algae you have growing. Can you describe it? DPK says, I don't like blackbeard algae. It's like having a pirate in my tank killing everything. Cape Cod says, Steve Aquatics, is that what is on your face? Ha 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 ha. Okay, we should remove that. We don't hate here, Cape Cod. I loves me some manly facial hair. Yeah, I even like Corey's beard that he's growing. Amphibian and Fish Channel, Corey says, Steamfight Aquatics, do you have any tips for African butterfly fish? KP Aquariums is in the house. Hey, Corey, number 2, number 3. How many numbers do you want? Hey, Corey. What's up, Angelo and Carlos? DBK says, high phosphate and high nitrates will cause blackbeard algae, and lack of CO2 will cause it too. I concur, DPK. The Amphibian and Fish Channel says, my mollies eat blackbeard algae when they are hungry. Awesome. Treating algae is so tricky with all the variables involved. Little largemouth. I rarely do anything with my algae. I have hair algae. Is it hair algae? I'm going to have to, I think mine is hair algae, but it's not the stringy kind. Mine comes up in almost like layers of hair. And it's usually on my driftwood. And after a while, when I'm doing a water change, I can just pull it off by the hunks. Cape Cod says, just kidding, I was not hating on Steamfight. I know, I'm playing with you too. Val says, Bob, are you and Taylor still going to get a flower horn? I got one yesterday. Crazy, crazy. Awesome. How big is your flower horn? KP says, what? Awesome, brother. KP Aquariums at Gmail. Thank you. Angelo says, Cape Cod, I just subbed. All right. So another thing, like DBK said, unstable CO2, and you probably need to supplement some CO2 or get some algae eaters. Beard algae most often enters the tank on contaminated plants. However, Even small free-floating strands in a bag with fish are enough to start its growth in your aquarium. Okay, cures for it. Affected plants can be soaked for 2 to 3 minutes in a 10% bleach solution to kill any algae on them. Never pour bleach into your aquarium, and completely remove heavily affected leaves. Bleach rocks, gravel, and any other items that exhibit the growth of the blackbeard algae. Two and a half, maybe 3 inches. A little flower horn. Wow, I didn't know they even sell them that little. What about hair algae? I have it in all my tanks, always pulling it out. It's really gross, but my snails love it. Okay, for you Cape Cod, I'm going to go back and read again some of the causes of blackbeard algae. It says perhaps it's an unstable or low levels of carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide is unstable in a planted aquarium, the plants cannot use the fertilizers or the nutrients from the water column correctly to produce photosynthesis. And that kind of environment is a hospitable one for the beard algae. It is from the red algae family. So you need to supplement with CO2 supplementation for a little while. Or you can take, now I'm reading about the blackbeard algae, you can take it out of the plant, out of the aquarium, and for 2 to 3 minutes, dip that plant in a 10% bleach solution. Wow, the hour has gone by. And then sometimes if the leaf is heavily covered by the black algae, it's best to just clip that leaf off and throw it away. Stock the tank with Siamese algae eaters. Note, be sure to purchase the proper species, as many species of fish are sold under the name of a Siamese algae eater, and other species of fish do not eat beard algae. If other options fail, treat with copper according to manufacturer's directions, and everybody knows invertebrates do not like copper. It will kill your shrimp and your snails and your crayfish, etc. It can have an adverse effects on certain plants as well as fish and should be used with caution. Angelo says, I'm not a lover of any algae. That's okay, Angelo. Some people want a pristine, clean look to their tanks, and a lot of cichlid keepers like you, they don't want algae. Tropical fish keepers like me and Bob, we love algae. We love the more natural South American look. DPK posted a link for those resources. Thank you, DPK. And Cape Cod says thank you. Elbow grease, toothbrush, razor, magnetic scrapers, etc. When blackbeard algae attaches in the tank, it can be difficult to separate it from the gravel, glass, and silicone seams. It requires a lot of elbow grease to remove it from hard surfaces. Try a toothbrush, magnetic scrapers, or razor along with a spray treatment like Secum XL or Metricide. I've never used XL or Metricide, so that would be up to you to research for yourself. And then to prevent beard algae, it says, of course, to avoid algae entering the tank through your fish water, quarantine your new fish for at least 2 days. Place them in the tank, net the fish rather than dumping the bag of water into the aquarium. Soak newly purchased plants prophylactically for 2 to 3 minutes in a 10% bleach solution to kill any algae on them. Also, purchase plants and fish from a reputable local fish store. I think we all can agree with that. I'm battling a bit of blackbeard algae in my rainbow tank, Angelo. Okay, Angelo, I hope some of that information was helpful for you and that you all can get something from that. Is there any more questions? I did not research hair algae. Yeah, these pictures I have here, the hair algae that it shows is not the hair algae that I have. Mine is very beautiful green and thick, and it comes off in clumps. Maybe it is hair algae. It might be different kinds. But that black beard algae, I'm like DPK, makes me think I've got pirates in my tanks. How does blackbeard algae grow? I want it. I try and grow algae in my snail farm. Cichlid 5, I don't think you want blackbeard algae. If you want to encourage algae, leave your lights on longer. Do you have plants in your aquarium already? Usually you want to monitor phosphate levels. I guess DPK, are there how to test for phosphates? Do they have a test kit? API phosphate test kit for fresh water and salt water. Okay. And at Amazon it's $6.74 for the test kit. Phosphate PO3 -4 to the 4 power. Thank you, DPK. It is this. All right, thank you. All right, so we have discussed the pros of planted tanks. What about some of the cons of a planted tank? Has anybody ever had a problem with plants in your aquarium that caused a problem and then you had to remove the plant? Okay. Well, this is not a problem per se of having plants in the tank, but problems with your plants in the tank. If you have a symptom where the plant stays small and you don't see any growth, or you get white deposits on the leaves like calcium deposits, The cause is a CO2 deficiency. If your fish gasp for air at the surface, you have too much CO2 in the water column. If you have sluggish fish and no plant growth, you have an oxygen deficiency. And then if your plants all of a sudden stop growing and get black rotted roots, you have a substrate problem. So it might be time to do some deep gravel vacs, do some substrate rotation, take out some substrate, put in some fresh substrate. Depends on what kind of substrate you have. How about you all? All the pruning. Yep, if you have healthy growing plants, Fishman says all the pruning. Yeah, I watched Bob's video one time when he was doing a whole lot of pruning, and he just cut across his, I don't know if that was 100 or 75 gallon or what size tank that was that Bob was trimming his plants. I haven't had that much problem except, like I said, in the 5 gallon where I divided that Anubias in half because that Anubias was outgrowing the tank and it was healthy. It had bloomed twice for me. I do have some new growth on it. Looks like it might be the flower coming up. And the Anubias that the other half of this plant that I put in the 55 is blooming. So I'm going to be filming that in the next day or two. The Amphibian and Fish Channel says dying plants causing high nitrates and clogging the filter. Yes, that can be a problem with plants in the aquarium. Nowhere to put all the extra plants that grow. Yeah, you have to get another aquarium. Another reason for MTS. Cichlid 5's got to go. Okay, honey. Thank you for coming by and being with us tonight. Appreciate you. Who usually streams behind me? Jeremy? Has anybody seen Jeremy tonight from Sergeant Tank? I think Rick streamed last night. JW usually streams after me. I haven't seen JW in here tonight. Anybody seen JW? Angelo says, I feel bad every time I toss out plants. I can imagine, because especially when you're getting started. Angelo, you can just stick them in an envelope and send them to me, okay? Don't throw them out anymore. I'll help pay postage. Angelo's Fish Tanks saying bye to Cichlid 5. Sherry Sweeney's in the house. Hello, Sherry. The Amphibious and Fish Channel says hi, Sherry. Everybody's saying hi. Sherry says, hey, y'all, glad to see you. My Corridora eggs hatched, and I was researching how to take care of them. That's awesome. Mine just do fine in the tank all by themselves, but I know there's probably a proper way to take care of them. Usually when I'm doing gravel vacs, I suck up baby corridors that I didn't know were in there. My tanks are so dirty in the substrate, they eat really well. I do some gravel vacs, but I don't do a lot of gravel vacs. Yes, Sherry, congratulations. Well, guys, I believe that's going to be it for tonight. I appreciate you stopping by and being with us and all of the helpful information. We may continue this, and remember to go check out Corey and Joel's podcast collab this morning that they did. And if one of my mods could go grab that from Corey's channel. Maybe Abel. Might have trouble crossing the border. Oh, I forgot where you were. I am so sorry, Angelo. Okay, here's the link to the video that Corey and Joel did this morning on Real Fish Talk, Dirted Aquariums, Good or Bad. So y'all check that out. And if anyone else is streaming behind me, I don't see any notifications. Val says bye. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome. Bye, everyone. We love you. We appreciate you. I'm trying to find my my link to to quit streaming. So, well, my dashboard locked up. Hope y'all have a good night. This is Susan for SLC Aquatics signing off. We love you. Don't forget the GoFundMe account, the SLC Aquatics group on Facebook, the Fish Fam Safe group, and the Fish Fam group on Facebook, and my Patreon account, my Teespring account, my Amazon store, and we just love you and we appreciate you. This is Susan for SLC Aquatics signing off until next week at 6 p.m. Love you.